Hello everyone. Brian just started the recording. Hello everyone. Welcome to the Current Power and Energy seminar series. Today our speaker is Ms. Katie Wiley with UTTK, the College of Engineering. The presentation topic is about how to present yourself professionally, and this talk will teach you how to refine your professional materials to start your internship, job, grad school search, and present yourself in a professional manner. This topic is very relevant given the current situation. So if you have any questions, you can type it in the chat box or just press that raise hand button so that we will unmute you at the end. So about our speaker, Ms. Katie Wiley is a career coach who works with the Tickle College of Engineering students who are exploring their internship and postgraduate options and employers looking to hire engineering students. She serves on the Clifton Strength Facilitation Team and partnership with staff from the Center for Leadership and Service. She's also on the Chancellor's Commission for Women. Before working at the Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration, Katie was an academic advisor in industrial engineering and the hall director of Fred D. Brown Jr. Residence Hall. So let me turn this the microphone to our speaker. And Katie, you're muted, so you can unmute yourself and start sharing.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Hi, y'all. My name is Katie Wiley. I'm the engineering career coach in the Center for Career Development. I'm going to share my screen. Do I have permission to do that? Yeah, it looks like I do. Perfect. Okay, we're going to. Awesome. So again, my name is Katie Wiley. I'm your career coach, and that's my email if you ever need it. I also have an Instagram account. So you can DM me if you want to on there, if you have a quick question or you want to know how to make an appointment. We'll kind of go over that today, but I fully expect you not to remember everything I say. Just remember that you can always contact me if you need anything. We are going to go over some professional resources today and how to present yourself in a professional manner. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself. I'm a pretty casual human, and I want you all to get out of this presentation what you want to get out of it. So please ask questions if you have any. So if you are familiar with the Center for Career Development, you may not be aware that we actually changed our name over the summer, and we are now the Center for Career Development and Academic Exploration. And that is because we took on the transition advisors, and these are staff members who actually advise students who are between colleges. So maybe they are not sure whether they want to be a Tickle College of Engineering student or they want to be an art and architecture student or something like that. They will advise them until they choose a major and a college. So we now have them in our office, a little less relevant to what you are wanting or what you will be, what we'll be talking about today, but I did want to make you aware of that. If you have never been to the Center for Career Development, our office is located in 201 Student Union. So that's the second floor. We're right above Starbucks in the Student Union. So if you're aware where Starbucks is, you kind of know where to find us. But we are in the office these days. I know some resources are not in their physical office. We are. I'm working from home 50% of the time, on campus 50% of the time. So we do have resources available for students who want to see in person, but I am personally only doing virtual appointments through Handshake, and I'll show you how to schedule those a little bit later, but I did want to make you aware of that. These are some of the resources that are available to you as a student at the University of Tennessee. We can do some career and major exploration. Hopefully by now in like your junior, senior, graduate level coursework, you know that you are pretty set on your major and your career path maybe, but maybe you are pretty sure you want to be in the major you're in, but you have a ton of different options when it comes to career paths and you want to talk those out. We can definitely do that in my office. So we also do one-on-one resume reviews, cover letter
Is it still going? Hello? Okay. I thought my internet got dropped. Anyway, so let's, sorry everyone, let's maybe wait for a couple of minutes, wait for a few minutes. Sorry everybody, I'm still reaching out to the speaker and see if she is able to reconnect. Oh, I see Katie here. Hello, Katie.
Hi, sorry, my internet on my house just went down. I literally have no internet, so I'm using my phone.
No, no problem at all. I sometimes have the same issue. You can, sorry, you can continue from there.
Okay, awesome. So you won't be able to see my PowerPoint, but at least I'll be able to chat with you all today. And I'll send the PowerPoint to your professor to send out to you later so that you have it. But we're going to be talking about resumes.
So you're on the phone now, right? Okay.
Yes, I'm on my phone now. Awesome. Yeah, so we're going to be talking about resumes versus CVs and what the difference are between the two, since you all are a mix of undergraduate students and graduate students. This will be relevant, hopefully, for both groups. But what's the difference between a resume and a CV? And really my question for my students is, what are you using it for? Is it being used for academic purposes? Are you looking to go into industry? Are you using this resume to write a grant application? Are you using it, again, to do an internship? What are you using it for? And the rule of thumb is a resume is used for industry and a CV is usually used for academia. And that is because a CV tends to be a little bit longer usually than a regular resume. For a resume, we recommend that you have a 1 to 2 page document. And 1 page for undergraduate students seems to be enough. For our graduate students, usually you may need to go to 2 pages because you might have a lot of relevant information. So that is kind of the difference between the two. Also, you may see different sections of information on a CV. And so let me go to this next slide here. I'm looking at my slides. Okay. So different sections of a resume. So the main sections that you should have in both a resume and a CV are that top info, contact info header, right? So your name, your phone number, your email address, and maybe even your address. Now, that's sort of an optional thing these days. We really do ask that you at least put the city and the state you're in, maybe even the zip code, but who's gonna send you a letter to tell you you got a job anymore, right? They're probably either going to call you or they're going to send you an email. So those are the most important things to have on that contact information. Also, in your contact information, you may want like your personal website, or you may want your LinkedIn page on there. That's totally fine. I usually recommend, especially for our EECS students, that you don't put, you know, like a ton of different links just because it could fill up that top page, but choose maybe 1 or 2 links that are really important and you think will kind of capture everything that the employer that's looking at your resume or the school that's looking at your resume will care about. Okay, and then the second section of the resume, which is optional, can be an objective. An objective is simply to obtain an electrical engineering full-time position in Knoxville, Tennessee. So just that simple sentence. And I say that it's optional because if you're going to something like a job fair or you're going to a conference where you're going to hand out your resume to a lot of different people, you're not really sure who you're going to meet, you're not sure what opportunities there are available, that's a good way for an employer to look at your resume and say, okay, you know, this is the candidate that's really looking at our electrical engineering position. Now, it's optional if you are going to apply directly to a position or apply directly to a program. If you're applying directly to something, they know that you're interested in that specific job or school, whatever program that you're applying to. The next section of the resume should be your education. And that should be, you know, obviously could say the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. You're going to want your graduation date on there, and you really don't need to put like expected graduation date. You can simply put the month and the year that you plan on graduating, or if you've already graduated with a degree, the month and the year that you graduated with that degree. Now, you really should be writing out your full degree title under education as well. So Bachelor of Science in Electrical Engineering is what it should say. If you have a minor or a concentration, you may want to consider putting a bullet point under your overarching degree and saying something like cybersecurity minor on there. If you're a part of an honor society of some sort, or you are part of like chancellor's honors or engineering honors, that could also go under the education section in a bullet point. And if you have any maybe certifications that directly relate to the educational degree that you're getting, you can also put that in a bullet point underneath your education. Also, sometimes I see students that want to put scholarships under their education. You can do that as well. We just want to make sure that you're not getting too bulky in the education section, because you want the bulk of your resume to be in that experience section, which is coming up next. I usually recommend that your graduation date and all dates on your resume go on the directly right side of the page, just so it's really easy and consistent for an employer to see when exactly you did something. Trying to see if my internet's working again. Okay, next section is experience. And you can have an experience section that can be titled a lot of different things. Engineering experience, work experience, research experience, relevant experience, additional experience. Those are some experience sections that we see very typically. Also, if you're looking to do a CV because you're looking at an academic position, you may want to consider putting a teaching experience section in your resume as well. So those are some different experience sections that you can play with. I have a lot of students who maybe do an engineering experience section and an additional experience section just so that they can make sure all their relevant information is the first thing in those experience sections, because in your experience sections, you should have, you should be in reverse chronological order. So the most recent thing first and the least recent thing last. And sometimes your most recent thing that you've done is not always relevant to the positions that you're applying for. So in that case, you may want to separate your experience into engineering experience and additional experience. Like I said before, if you're writing a CV, again, specifically for an academic position, you really are going to want like a relevant or work experience or engineering experience section, a research experience section, and a teaching experience section to really highlight those different opportunities that you've had that position is looking for. In your experience section, you should have bullet points under each experience that you are going to put on your resume. We usually recommend 3 to 5 bullet points, no longer than 2 lines per bullet point. You want those bullet points to be detailed, but you also want them to be concise, right? We want them to have enough detail that you're really telling a story about the position that you had, and you're really getting that employer to know what your job was and your responsibilities were, but also what you learned, right? But we also don't want a novel. Nobody's going to read lines and lines of text about what it is that you did. So like I said, 3 to 5 bullet points, no longer than 2 lines apiece. Each of those bullet points should start with what we call an action verb. So managed or organized, something that's telling the employer exactly what action that you were doing. Now, I see a lot of students wanting to say responsible for managing. Just take out that responsible for and say managed blank, 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 right? X, Y, and Z. Because you're just adding words by saying responsible for. Awesome. If you can add any numerical information into your bullet points, that is recommended. So if you can say, you helped do something or improve something by 4%, or if you can say you put blank number of hours into something, or you helped save a company blank dollars, or you were given a budget of $1,000, right? That is usually recommended as well. Awesome. So moving on, we have a few other sections that you could consider putting in your resume. And so you could have a skills section. We usually recommend, especially for our EECS students, that you have a technical skills section, because you have a lot of experience with different programs, right? There's a lot of computer programs, a lot of physical machinery that you have worked with before. That all belongs under a skills section. Also, if you can speak multiple languages, that can be under a skills section as well. Things that you don't want under a skills section are, those soft skills, or what I like to call essential skills. So things like, I'm a good communicator, I'm a hard worker, those sort of things belong inside your experience section, so in those bullet points, or in a cover letter, or explained in an interview. And I say that because it's stronger to say, I've had to practice my communication, in this specific role, than it is to say I'm a good communicator, right? That really doesn't, back up your statement in any way. I'm gonna pause this for just a second because I think my internet is back online, and just so you guys can see, you can see this. Just 1 second.
Yeah, just in the meantime, if your student have questions, just feel free to
Yeah,
speak
please.
up or just type it.
I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. I'm sorry for all the technical issues, friends. We'll get through them.
No problem. No problem. Happens. Like my connection is sometimes unstable too.
Awesome. Okay. On my computer here, and I'm going to share my screen again.
It's a seamless transition.
Yeah. Can you give me permission to share my screen?
Oh, Ryan can do that. Oh, I think I can also. So let me see. Yeah, try it again.
Okay, awesome. Perfect. And we're back. Great. So here I was talking about experience section. So moving on to that other section, that skills section we just talked about, maybe an honors and awards section may be applicable if you got a lot of scholarships or you got some sort of merit award. That would be definitely applicable. If you want to put relevant coursework, you can. However, usually other sections are stronger. So if you are going to take out an experience for a relevant coursework section, I usually recommend that you don't do that because that experience tends to be a stronger part of the resume. Now, if you are an undergraduate student and maybe you've taken a graduate class or two, maybe that's something that you want to put in there. Or if you've taken a course in your degree that is unique or very relevant to the position that you're applying for, maybe you also want to put a relevant coursework section in. It's really kind of an optional section for you. You need to decide whether you think that's going to help you or if that's just taking away more space that you could be using for something else. You also could put an activities section. So, any student organizations you're a part of. Also affiliation section. So if you are part of any professional associations and you've been a member for a while, or maybe you've held a position or been on a committee or something, an affiliation section could be appropriate. Also, if you've done a lot of volunteer work, that could be appropriate as well. But again, if things are not going to be relevant to the position and you are really worried about space, I would suggest more experience over any of these additional sections. Maybe skills might be one that you really want to put, again, for EECS students specifically that work with a lot of programs and hardware and that sort of stuff. But the other ones are optional. Now, for a CV, like I said before, there may be some different sections in a CV that you would not put in an industry resume. So those are things like teaching experience, like publications, like presentations, or academic service. So anything that you were asked to do that was related to the academic position that you were doing, but is not necessarily part of your job description. So maybe you served on a work group or a committee that wasn't part of your initial job description, or you volunteered to advise some students or something like that, that could go in an academic service section as well. So those are kind of some differences between the CV and the resume. Awesome. So we're going to go into your resume or CV. So this could go for either. Your resume or CV should be clean and easy to read, should explain what you can do, and should explain what you have done. So I'm going to ask a question, and if you all can put this in the chat, that would be awesome. How long do you think an employer will look at your resume initially? And this is specifically for industry resumes. So how long do you think an employer will look at your resume? You can put it in the chat. 1 minute, 1 to 2 minutes, 1 minute, 10 seconds. Anyone else want to put in their 2 cents? So the average for an employer to actually look at your resume for the first time is actually 7 seconds before they decide if you are worth reading again or if you're going in the trash. So it needs to be clean and easy to read, right? Because if someone's only looking at your at your resume for 7 seconds, that's not a lot of time for them to look and see what it is they're looking for. So you want to make it as easy as possible for them to read. And that's why we say if you are doing an industry resume, you really should be keeping it to 1 pages, or for our graduate students, 2 pages, because we want them to get a good feel for what your experience is in that 7 seconds. And if you're having to flip through a ton of pages, that might not be possible. Okay, so this is an example resume that I've pulled up, and it may be a little hard to read, so I'm sorry if you can't read it, but this is a participation section, so if you would like to unmute yourself or write in the chat, feel free. But I want you to do kind of an inventory of this resume. Is it clean? Is it easy to read? What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Give me some feedback on this resume. Feel free to unmute yourself or put your thoughts in the chat. Too much white space. And I would agree, right? You want a good balance between white space and text. There's a lot of white space, especially in the education section, the honor section, the relevant coursework. Clean but poor use of space, for sure. I totally agree. There's definitely a poor use of space. They could be putting more detail into those bullet points, right? For sure. A typo. Yes, there is a typo. University is spelled wrong, and there's probably other things that are spelled wrong in this resume as well. Full degree name isn't listed. I've heard a GPA is optional if it's low. It seems too informal. Yeah, so full degree name is not listed. Yes, you should put your full degree name. So Bachelor of, I don't know what the supply chain management is, but for you all, it would be Bachelor of Science in, electrical engineering. This person, who knows what SCM is unless you are probably at the university and you know that stands for supply chain management, right? So you need to be spelling out your full degree. The GPA is optional on a resume, even if it's not too low. If you just don't want to put your GPA on the resume, you don't have to, but do know that an employer can request it or ask you, what is your GPA and why isn't it on your resume? So if this person, I would usually advise them to have an answer for why their GPA is a 2.5. While that isn't a horrible GPA, it's also not a stellar GPA. So, you really want to practice the question to, okay, tell me about your GPA, why is it a 2.5? And there are definitely ways you can go about that that'll make you come out ahead and in a positive manner than to be ashamed of that 2.5. And that could be individual for everyone. So if you want to talk about that a little bit, just let me know and I'd be happy to do so. And it seems a little too informal, and it is a little too informal, right? The very end in the additional information section, it says they enjoy swimming, golfing, and skydiving. That's so great. I'm glad you enjoy those things in your spare time, but not really something that belongs on a resume. They shouldn't have a section that has none, and I totally agree. If you don't have any honors and awards, please do not put an honors and awards section on your resume, and definitely don't say you have none. Awesome. The text is not well aligned, especially to the right. Yeah, so you can definitely tell that all the dates and it looks like the city states are not really lined up on the right-hand side. Some of the bullet points in the additional information section are off and not lined up with the bullet points in the experience section. Some of looks like they worked for Toys R Us, and that's weirdly tabbed over one, and so is Chili's. It's definitely inconsistent when it comes to being aligned on the page, for sure. Anyone else? Okay, they also say in their objective that they want to obtain a full-time job after graduation in a fast-paced dynamic workplace, which will provide real-life on-the-job training so I can move up into management quickly. So what they're saying in that objective is, I don't really care about this current position I'm applying for. I just want to be a manager eventually, right? That's probably not the best thing to put. And like I said before, your objective should simply be to obtain a full-time electrical engineering position in Knoxville, Tennessee. Or if you don't have a location preference, you don't have to put a location. Awesome. So you notice that they have their experience dates on the left-hand side, and they have their education dates on the right-hand side. Like I said before, I usually like it if all of the dates are on the right-hand side. It makes it really easy for an employer to see when you did something. So someone put that Knoxville, Tennessee has a lowercase n, and that's completely right. You should be having the uppercase T, uppercase N for Tennessee. That is true. Also, for relevant coursework, they have BA 100 in chemistry, right? If you are an employer, are you going to know what BA 100 is? Are you going to know that's Business Administration 100? Probably not. If you're going to put relevant coursework, you need to be putting the full title of the course. And then for chemistry, you need to be saying what kind of chemistry. Is it organic chemistry? Is it general chemistry? You need to be putting what kind of chemistry that is. Activities reveals political opinions. Is it better not to put it in there? That is definitely a controversial part of the resume, right? So you go to activities, it says Tennessee Young Republicans. Now, if you're applying directly for maybe say, you're going to work for someone in Congress and they are specifically a Republican, and you want to say that you have political experience by being in that student organization, yes, right? It may be relevant, so maybe you want to put it in there. However, if it's not relevant to your position, you have to know that it may be a controversial part of your resume. So you have to make the decision whether it is of value to you to leave it in there versus taking it out. And also, is it part of your values? Is it important for you that your employer know that this is important to you, right? Maybe you leave it in there because it is very important to you and you want your employer to be okay with that. It's totally up to you in that situation, but you do have to kind of weigh your options for sure. It could be controversial. Awesome. Let's see, you also should be explaining your position titles a lot more than they do in this resume, right? So if you look under their Toys R Us experience, they say cash register. Were they the cash register? You know, what exactly did they do with the cash register? We don't know. So definitely make sure you're explaining your experience in full so an employer gets a full picture of what that you've been doing. Also, you have under activities like SPEAK. I'm guessing that's an acronym. I'm not 100% sure. So if you have any acronyms on your resume, like that SCM for supply chain management, you need to be spelling those out so an employer knows what that is. Awesome. You also could quantify or qualify, your Spanish skills. So, you know, how much Spanish skills do you have? Do you have conversational skills? Do you have written skills? Do you think, is it expert in that? Is it elementary experience in that? You know, what kind of Spanish skills do you have there? Awesome. Also, this resume does not have a contact info section, and I'll tell you why. This is a real resume that came into our office, and we're trying to keep this person anonymous. So that's why you will not see the contact information up top. Awesome. So we're going to move on. And I want you all to tell me what you think about this resume. What do you like about it? What don't you like about it? Again, just like the other one. You can put that in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself. Is there anything that you like about this one? Aesthetically much better. Awesome. Looks good at first glance. Awesome. Yeah, it's really easy to read, right? So you know all of the dates are going to be on the right-hand side. You know all of their places of business and their positions are going to be on the left-hand side. You see that they've lined up all of their cities and states in the middle. It is much easier to read. It has a great balance between white space and text, right? It doesn't look like a book, but also it doesn't look like you didn't have anything to put on your resume. For sure. That's awesome. In the interest of time, I'm going to move on, but actually you can see here in this example that they separated their experience into engineering experience and other experience as well, so that they can put the most relevant things at the top too. So that's something you may want to consider. Also, a technical skills section or an honors and awards section, it really is up to you whether you want to put that before your experience or after your experience. But my recommendation would be not to put both an honors and awards section and a skills section before your experience. Choose one or the other, because you want the employer to get to the bulk of your resume, that experience section, pretty quickly. So you don't want too much space between that contact info section and your experience section. Okay, we're going to talk about a cover letter now. So the difference between a cover letter and a resume is, yes, the formatting, but also your resume should be solely about you, right? And your experience and what you can do and what you have done. The cover letter is highly about the company. So I get questions a lot of the time, Katie, do I need to write, a cover letter for every position I apply for? And the answer to that is yes. Now that could be daunting sometimes, right? Because if you're going to apply to 50 positions, that means 50 cover letters. But if you have a general cover letter, basically it's just your resume in a letter form. And that's not really serving you. So a cover letter, you should be kind of bragging about the research that you have done about that specific position, that specific company, or the school. So say you're writing a cover letter for grad school, most likely that'll be covered in a personal statement, but maybe they also want a cover letter, so you could do it in a cover letter format. Now, like I said, you should be doing your research. So that somewhere in here you can say, I noticed that in the news, in current events, you say that you are going towards renewable energy. I want you to know that, I have experience in renewable energy and conservation doing X, Y, and Z. That's really pretty attractive, right? You're keeping up with the company's ethics and the company's values and their mission, right? If you can tie those things into your cover letter, that's only a plus for you. Also, you want to avoid, again, just copying what you already have on your resume. So a lot of the time our students are tempted to say, well, you know what, I did X, Y, and Z, and this is what I got out of it, and that's it. You really need to be tying the position description and the company's mission and values to the things that you've done. So like it says here on the slide, talk about a skill that you possess or a value that you have, and then tie that into what you've done. So don't have your experiences as the bulk of it. Have, those skills that you have as the bulk of it, and then back that up with an experience, and then also how that relates back to that company. Also, a cover letter is a great place to kind of say if you know somebody from that company. So in your intro paragraph, you can say, I found out about this position through X, Y, and Z, who works in the X, Y, and Z department. Just make sure that if you are going to name drop somebody in your cover letter, that you have a good relationship with them and they're going to talk highly of you. Because if if someone is in your cover letter, they're going to go to that person and ask them about you for sure. Awesome. Also, at the end of my cover letter, in my conclusion, I usually will say something like, if I do not hear back from you in 2 weeks or in a month, I will follow up with an email. That kind of gives you an excuse to then follow up with that company or that person and just say, I'm still interested in the position. I can provide you more materials if you need them. Thank you for your time, something like that. So you can check back in with them, because a lot of the time, as you're probably aware, you may apply for a position and it may be months and months and months and months until you hear something back, right? Or you may never hear something back. Like, I've applied for positions that I still haven't heard anything from, right? They probably just said, she's not a good fit, and then moved on and didn't contact me. So if you want to check up on that, I usually suggest that you put that one line in your cover letter, then you kind of have an excuse to check up. But do know, if you're going to put that in your cover letter, you need to kind of back that up. So put a note or a reminder on your calendar, and then make sure you follow up. Okay, so we talked about some skills that you may want to put in that cover letter, but what skills are employers looking for? So the Center for Career Development is in the National Association of Colleges and Employers. It's It's our professional association. And what they've done is they asked over 200,000 employers, when you are hiring for a position, what skills do you want candidates to have already coming into the job? And this is what they said. Critical thinking and problem solving skills, oral and written communication skills, teamwork and collaboration, digital technology, career management, leadership, professionalism and work ethic, and global and intercultural fluency. So those 8 things are very, very important for employers to see somewhere in your materials. So somewhere in your resume, somewhere in your cover letter. You need to be doing an inventory of yourself and ask yourself, where do I demonstrate that I have leadership skills? Where do I demonstrate that I have professionalism and work ethic? Where do I demonstrate that I have global and intercultural fluency skills? So these 8 things, you need to do an inventory of yourself before you turn those in to whatever position you're applying for. Okay, so we have kind of done with the resume and cover letter stuff. If you want to ask a question, feel free to put those in the chat. I do want to talk to you just a bit about Handshake. So Handshake is our job search website that is affiliated with our office and the University of Tennessee, Knoxville. It is a university-based company and is used by a lot of different universities across the country, a lot of big name universities. It is very easy for an employer in California to post a job and say that they want it to go to the University of Tennessee, Knoxville students, the Virginia Tech students, the University of California, Berkeley students, and so on and so forth. So you really are seeing nationwide job opportunities on Handshake. And because it is a university-based account or company, they are posting a lot of jobs for people just coming out of undergrad or those just coming out of graduate school. So it really is a good place for you to look and see what opportunities, job opportunities are available for you. They have everything from part-time jobs to full-time jobs to internships to co-ops to on-campus jobs. So definitely check out Handshake. It is also a place where you can see all of our events, especially now during the COVID-19 era where a lot of recruiters are not allowed to recruit on physical campuses. They're putting on a lot of events and they're sharing those on Handshake. I know some with Amazon are coming up. I've seen one for IBM. I've seen one for Whirlpool. Tons of different companies are wanting you to connect with them and to go to these events. So definitely go to the events on Handshake. Also, Handshake is where our career fairs are going to be this year. So if you are looking to go to the Engineering STEM Job and Internship Fair that's coming up on September 28th, it's a Monday, you need to go on Handshake, you need to set up your profile and register for that career fair. It is very important that you do so. And you can find that career fair in the events section as well. Handshake's also where you can set up an appointment with me. So one of the sections on the top says Career Center. If you just click appointments and you make sure you click engineering industry, that's where you can talk to me about any of the things that we talked about today or anything having to do with your career path. And yeah, just make sure you also have a profile on Handshake. Make sure you fill that out and put a resume on it so that if you do sign up for that career fair, employers can see that profile of yours. Also, if you set up that profile and make your profile public to employers, which is just a button on your profile, employers can actually send you messages instead of just you reaching out to companies and applying to those jobs. So definitely look that up for sure. Do I have all the way up to the 1:10 mark, or do you want about 5 minutes?
Our time is good.
Okay.
Let's see. Yeah, I kind of like the organization of the presentation, like from the resume, CV to cover letter, and to this great resource that the Career Center is partnering with Handshake. So let's see if we've got questions from students. So from Thomas, so is there any additional advice would you give to those searching for a job in the current COVID landscape?
Yeah, for sure. There definitely is some advice. And let me just I have a couple more slides, and I think this might answer your question, Thomas. So I think LinkedIn is a really good place for you to be networking and building your professional reputation online, especially, again, in a landscape where we're doing a lot of things online right now. So if you're not familiar with LinkedIn, it can help you build relationships, learn about professionalism, stay up to date with company news. It also has a job search platform. It can also help you expand on your resume. But there is a networking portion of LinkedIn that not a lot of people are aware of. So if you go to the University of Tennessee Knoxville's webpage, they have an alumni section. If you click that alumni section, you'll come to this page and you can see all 160,000 alumni. It's now up because this is an old screenshot, but 160,000 alumni that associate themselves with the University of Tennessee. And then you can filter them by where they live, where they work, what they got their degree in, and what they do now. And you can use that to then, if you scroll down, you can see every person's profile that fits with the filters that you put in. And then you can connect with them and say, you know, hi, my name is Thomas. I am a electrical engineering major, going to graduate in, May 2021. I was wondering, how you like working at IBM and what your job is like. If you can expand on that, that would be great. Thanks. Go Vols, right? And then you've made a connection there. So that's kind of something that I would definitely suggest that you do, especially in this COVID-19 landscape that we're in right now. And then Robert, I see you also had a question. Do you guys use ProConnect? Who do I contact if I'm having audio and video issues? So we do not use ProConnect. That's engineering professional practice, and they focus solely on internships and co-ops with some full-time job opportunities, where the Center for Career Development focuses mainly on full-time job opportunities with some internships and co-ops. And then we use Handshake. So Handshake is our website for pretty much everything. And I tell students, we don't have any secret jobs or secret events. They all end up on Handshake. So that's where you should go. Awesome.
Perfect. Yeah.
We do have some resources for you. So definitely look on the front page of the Center for Career Development's website. We subscribe to a lot of different programs for you. So Big Interview can help you do a virtual interview. Career Shift is a web crawler that can help you search for jobs throughout the web. What can I do with this major is pretty self-explanatory. It can help you figure out what different jobs associate with your major. Vault has some career profiles. So if you type in, renewable energy engineer, it'll tell you like what they make and what they do every day and what education you need to get there, that sort of thing. Candid Career is very much the same, except it's on videos. So if you'd rather have like a YouTube version of that instead of reading it through, you can go to Candid Career. And then InnerStride is for international students and our students looking to go abroad. So they have a lot of information about staying up to date with immigration in the United States. And it has a job search platform on it too that can help you filter for companies that sponsor work in the United States, but also they have career guides for what it's like to work in Japan or in Germany, right? And they'll tell you, what does a resume look like in Germany? What does an interview look like in Germany? What are their customs? So InnerStride is a really great platform as well. Okay, we have 2 minutes. And then we have some consistent events and resources. So we're putting on employer spotlights this semester. It's where we just sit down with an employer and we ask them, what is it like to work at your place of business and what opportunities do you have available? So those are Tuesday through Thursday at 3 p.m. and they're on Facebook Live. So if you go to our UTK Career Development and Academic Exploration page, those are on Facebook Live. And if you end up there and you're seeing a live spotlight, because you can also go back and look at the past spotlights. If you're on it live, then you can ask questions and we will answer them live. I also put out a career newsletter every Thursday. Everybody in this class should get that. I send it out to undergraduate and graduate students. And it has a lot of really great upcoming information, especially with our career-based information. And then I also do Zoom throughs. And so if you just needs like a quick question answered and you want to stop by Thursdays from 1 to 2, the Zoom link for that is in my career newsletters. So make sure you look at that. And then lastly, I'll leave this slide up while you all are asking any other questions that you have. But here are upcoming events. So again, those fall job fairs, we have a professionals of color panel coming up. We're also doing like a who's coming to the job fair next Wednesday, and then our job fairs. So I'm open to any questions, any other questions that you have.
Any other questions? Yeah, these are great information, especially that zoom through, which is the best way for quick questions.
Yeah, for sure. And you can always email me as well. But if you're someone like me, I'd rather ask a question than have to type it out. So that's just more work.
Yeah. Right.
Awesome.
Okay.
And here's my contact information again, if y'all need anything from me. Again, feel free to email if it's something longer, like you want to do a resume review or a mock interview, or you want me to show you Handshake in depth or LinkedIn in depth. Make sure that you make an appointment on Handshake.
Okay. Sounds good. We're right on time.
Woohoo!
Yep. Any
Awesome.
other questions? The last round? Okay. So if there's no more questions, thank you very much, Katie, for taking your time out of your schedule. And we need to thank Anne for inviting you to give us this presentation. So I hope students have, everyone has.
Yeah, and I help both undergraduate and graduate students. So
yeah, graduate. We actually have faculty. I saw Dr. Kostner here. So anyway,
awesome.
So yeah, thanks everyone for calling in, and I hope you have a great weekend.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for putting up with my technical issues.
Not an issue at all. Bye, Katie.
Bye, y'all.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.